and Herm was more than happy to oblige. It made Robert's stomach hot, and he wondered for a moment just how far he could push him. You know, the Yaoi community should be more than satisfied with all the goings-on in the world lately. Those political Yaoi fans are rejoicing at the Donnie Bubba ship finally being confirmed. And the Disney fans are crying out in praise as the cars from Cars are finally going rubber to rubber. And of course, for our fantasy lovers, who could forget that Dagoth and the Dragonborn are now canonically married? Sorry, Serana, but the mission's never finished, right fellas? No, there's still always a desire, nay, a hunger, to make really weird, fucked up shit. Hi, I'm Lou Jackson, and this Thanksgiving, I opted to not spend time with my family, and instead, I read Waterboy Yaoi nonstop until I could make this video. You should go like and sub, because I'm ruining my life making these videos. I skipped Thanksgiving and I read a bunch of Waterboy Yaoi. It wasn't worth it. So you might start out by asking, well, Lou, what is Yaoi? I'm a normal guy. I have friends and I watch sports. And to that, I feel like I should have my good friend Ted answer.
So the definition of Yaoi is when two men love each other very much and it becomes romantic. But from my understanding, Yaoi is when a green-haired boy and a spiky blonde-haired boy really don't like each other at all. In fact, they're rivals. And for some reason, everyone makes stories about they kiss each other on the mouths and their tongues fight and the green-haired boy ends up pregnant.
What the fuck are you talking about? Okay, do you have like a favorite type of it?
I think my favorite of all time is the Omegaverse. It's like a separate universe where there's alphas, there's betas, and there's omegas. And omegas, they can get pregnant and have babies. It's so exciting. If there was a universe that I could live in, probably that one.
Hey, thanks Ted. You're a really good guy and I appreciate you. Oh no, an alien! Oh, and he's here to exploit my mind. It's a good thing my mind's protected with Magic Mind. So I reached out to Magic Mind a little while ago for two reasons. First off, I'd been taking Magic Mind forever, and after consistently taking it for 7 days, it genuinely has become life-changing for me. And the other was, I wanted to make a video to see if a channel with no subs could get a sponsor. And Magic Mind was the only company cool enough who wanted to work with me and give me a shot. I was so excited to hear back from them too, because Magic Mind's genuinely had a positive impact on my life. You know, between distractions in life, ADHD, and this little guy trying to infiltrate my thoughts, it's really hard to stay locked in. But consistently taking Magic Mind has me sharper and clearer than maybe ever in my entire life. It's let me focus on my videos, hobbies, and fighting off that guy that flew. And that's no coincidence. They're built from the ground up with that in mind. They've got nootropics in them like L-theanine that improve memory, attention, and executive function. And with a full daily dose of vitamins B, C, and D, I've got the energy to handle business without any of the jitters or crash that come from caffeine, which works for me because I take Magic Mind free, their caffeine-free option. And dude, they know what they make is so good, they've got a 100-day refund policy, even if you take the shots. So like there's literally no reason to not try out Magic Mind. So if you want to start taking steps to improve your mental clarity, head down to the description and use my link for 20% off Magic Mind productivity shots and 48% off subscriptions. And tell your friends to use code ToiletTalks20 for the same deal. Thanks for partnering with me, Magic Mind. Now let's get back to the video. So before I started reading, I felt like I would need some help. I'd need some backup here. I would need an expert on these characters, someone to help me understand them at a higher level. And who better to do that than the people who created those characters? That's right, viewer. I reached out to everyone. I'm talking the team at Ad Hoc, Joel Haver, Moist Critical, anyone whose email I could find. And I sent them this: a festive holiday inquiry. Hi Ad Hoc team, happy Thanksgiving. So I was making a dispatch video to drop on Monday because I'm determined to put at least one out on the 1st of every month. But I decided it needed to be better. So I'm scrapping it all and making a video titled Dispatch, in search of Waterboy Yaoi. Would you be willing to give me any insight into who you think Waterboy would most likely get stuffed, happy Thanksgiving, by? Even replying to tell me to never contact you again would be rad. Cheers, Lou. So obviously I put out that video on December 1st, and I don't know if this video is titled Dispatch in Search of Waterboy Yaoi, but you get it. I guess we'll just have to circle back to that though and see if they're gonna turn out to be our mystery Mousecatool later. If you've seen my other videos, you should have high hopes. Well, I guess it's just me and a stack of, Jesus Christ, 206 fanfics? Okay, so going into reading this, I'm expecting Waterboy to be just an Omega. He's likely gonna be willing and submissive at every chance that he gets. Now, my early bets for the alphas are obviously going to be Robert, Chase, and Flambe. As far as the betas go, it's most likely going to be the rest of the boys. I wrote boys with a Z in the script here. Phenomenon, Punch Up, Sonar, Golem, easy betas. Now, Galen, the other dispatcher, alpha, 100%. How could he not be? Well then, where does Royd land? Clearly, he looks like an alpha, but he's soft and warm like an Omega. You know what that means. We need the whiteboard.
It's time for the whiteboard to organize our thoughts. It's time for the whiteboard, so let's all jerk our whiteboard!
So this marker is going to run out. So this side is alpha, that side's omega. It's got an O and kind of an M that you can maybe see a little bit. I don't want to run out, so can you see the line there? You can't even see that fucking line. Okay, so when we first meet Royd in the bathroom, he's giving big confident energy. But then when we question about his name being like steroid, he gets all bashful and shows that his confidence, it's just a ruse. He does say after the fact that he doesn't care, but that deflect after can't hide the sadness in his voice. So I'm going Omega here. Okay, so next up, we're getting the old mech suit and bringing it back to the lab. And this is where Royd shows up with big alpha energy. First off, he's carrying all the stuff for Robert and showing off his physical prowess. But after that, when we get to the lab, this is where the real alpha energy lies in this scene. So Royd is educating Rob about how being a gearhead and a science nerd are different things. And Rob asks Royd, how would he know which Rob's dad used to be? And Royd busts out the, I'm both, and shows off his big, thick lab and the plans he has to make the man mecha again. He's shown in this scene to not only be bigger, but also smarter than even Daddy Robert. Point to alpha. Next up, they're testing the suit, and this one's just a comparison game. Now, when the malfunction happens, Robert is cool, calm, and collected. But Royd, he's nervous, he's frightened, and it's body language here, right? Rob looks chill, Royd looks frightened and scared, and then he decides to be a silly Billy and spray the fire extinguisher after we realize everything's okay, almost symbolizing his excitement for Robert's safety. Look at him, he's just a little playful pup. Okay, and then after that, Invisigal shows up, and she's taking all of Daddy Robert's attention away from Royd, and Royd just seems uncomfortable and walks away. Now, we can read into this as just something dropped in the background, but I think Royd got flustered and upset and was pouting and throwing stuff around because he's worried Robert isn't gonna love him. This is two big showings of Omega energy in this scene, so he gets 2 Omega points. When we see Royd again, it's for another Mecha Man test, and this one puts Robbie in a coma. This one's tricky, because for one, he puts himself in harm's way to save Rob, but in the hospital, he breaks down and shows that lack of confidence we saw from before. I think that we have to score this one as 2, and so we're gonna give 1 point to Alpha and 1 point to Omega. Now, during the party, Royd doesn't really get involved too much when things go south. So I'm gonna count this as beta energy because it's kind of like, no, he's gonna let the real alphas in the room handle it. Okay, so in episode 8, Royd shows up with big alpha energy. First off, the dispatchers are in need of help, and so Royd pulls up, sits down at Chase's computer, sitting in the seat of an alpha. I mean, like, that's alpha energy if I've ever seen it. And then later on, when shit's going sideways at the SDN, he not only catches Vizzy, but he cuffs her? He cuffs her? Are you joking? That's alpha. That's alpha. That's 2 points for alpha right there. Those two things, 2 points for alpha. Now, later on, you might be wondering, because he fights, is that alpha? I'm gonna say no, because if fighting were an indicator of being alpha or not an omega at least, Waterboy could never, because Waterboy fights all the time. So let's score. Okay, so it's a tie. Now, this is not engagement bait, but for real, I want people to make a case down in the comments for whether Royd is an alpha or omega, because I think I did a pretty good job of making a case for each scene, so I can't be the one to decide here. I need backup.
Time to die.
Yaoi.
Okay, so we're here. You know, we've talked about everything else. We've reached out to the voice actors and the ad hoc team. We learned about what Yaoi is in the Omegaverse. You know, the alphas, betas, omegas, and where these characters fall on that scale. We've talked about everything. Except the thing you came here for. We haven't talked about Waterboy Yaoi. And maybe that's because I'm scared, or better to say, embarrassed. Maybe I'm just hiding from you what I've gone through the last few days, but that's wrong. I mean, you clicked the video, you saw Yaoi in the title, and you still showed up. So me trying to hide this from you, it's not right. I don't want to be ashamed anymore. I'm done being scared, and I'm done hiding. Oh, it's too much Yaoi. Real quick though, shout out to every one of those artists. So their socials are in the description, and like, jokes aside, every one of those people put real effort and work into making their art, whether it was pictures or fanfic. They all put themselves out there, so go show them some love. Out of the 206 I started with, I got around to reading about 75 of them, and I would have preferred to read more, but I am but one man. So let's see how our predictions turned out. Now, first off, Waterboy obviously turned out to be an Omega. I mean, I only read a couple where he was like full-on male seahorse. I'm actually bummed out because as far as the Beta Brigade is concerned, most of them didn't ever engage in any sort of relationship. But I'm gonna take it as a win because, you know, they're betas. So like, obviously they didn't step in when like Big Daddy Alpha Robert was doing his thing. It always came down to Robert being the alpha, and he was doming Waterboy. Occasionally, in stories like After Hours by Embalm Me Dangles, we get to see Rob, Flambe, and Waterboy all together. This mustache is so wet. I'm dripping. I actually like the way it explores how Flambe has a hard time with intimacy because of the heat that he puts off, but it's like a match made in heaven because obviously Waterboy can take it. Now, as for Chase, I think we lost out on him being an alpha. He rarely shows up in stories, and when he did, he was not serving alpha. Now, Galen is almost never mentioned except for one story, but I'm gonna still consider him an alpha because it's obvious these writers just didn't understand the overwhelming alpha energy that Galen wields. Now, Royd. Okay, I don't remember a single mention of Royd in any of the titles that I read. A constant recurring trope in these stories is that Waterboy was more wet than a human could possibly be. Hey, YouTube. So what I mean by wet is just like his powers, like this kind of wet. This is good, clean, Catholic fun. There was no other meaning to it. Is that good? I've got to just hold the mustache for the rest of the video because doing this video has just gotten me too wet. So I really want to know how Waterboy feels about being depicted as an Omega. So I think it's time we use our Mystery Mouska tool.
Oh, toodles! Boy, what the fuck you want?
Holy shit, we did it, Chad. We got Joel Haber in this video. Joel, how do you feel about Waterboy being depicted as an Omega?
I feel good about it. It means the world to me.
Wow, thanks, Joel. Well, since he seemed so excited about it, I guess I should just recommend some yaoi that I thought was good. Now, I'm gonna avoid smut because this is a good Christian YouTube channel. Is any of this worth using? So let's start out with Present Tense by Electric Chair. Now, I only got to read part 1 of this series, but it was actually really well written. So it takes place way before the events of Dispatch. It's when Waterboy's like really young, and it's also the first day that Robert's Mecha Man. And it's all about dealing with Waterboy's depression. The vast majority of this episode is just a conversation between Herm and Rob sitting in the park on a rainy day. Next up is Soft and Wet by Little Greasy Guy. And it's not the smut that the name makes it sound like it would be. So I read the first 2 chapters of this series, and it's just a soft, sweet romance. They kiss at the end of the first chapter, and then the second one is just all about the team trying to set up like the perfect date for them. Jesus Christ, what the fuck am I doing with my life? Let's talk about Water Under the Bridge by Wishful Riot. Now, this never really turned into the romance that I was hoping it would, but it's a pretty cool story from what I read. It's only the first chapter, and it's clearly setting up to be more of a shonen. This is an alternate reality where Robert and Waterboy grow up together, and just helping each other get stronger. I can see this being like a slow burn romance, but honestly, it just kind of seems like a really cool anime idea. Now, lastly, I've got Uncharted Waters by Krypton Bismal. It's another series, and the writer here really seemed to understand what made the banter between characters work. Like, they use the dispatch comms often, and it creates these really fun moments. One of the big overarching plot lines here is that Robert's trying to create a list of foods Waterboy can eat, because eating is tough for him. Things like pizza often get really soggy. There's also this moment where Waterboy says he kinda relates to fish, and it's really cute because Sonar gets super excited and thinks there's another hybrid on the Z team, but Waterboy just meant he relates to them because he's always wet. Now, that was stupid. Now, I didn't really touch on like more of the like Omega Yaoi stories here, because like I said, this is a good Christian channel, but all of these are romantic in one way or another. And I feel like I needed to avoid any of the spicier stuff because this video kind of feels like it's already towing the line with YouTube terms of service. Anyways, let me know in the comments if you want me to write my own Waterboy Yaoi titled Whitewater Rapids. And as always, shout out to Magic Mind for partnering with me here. Hit the link in the description and use code TOILETTALKS20 for 20% off Magic Mind productivity shots and 48% off subscriptions. Love you, Magic Mind. And that's the end of the video. I'm in love with you. See ya.
Saw the world till love was true.